Hello, everyone. Happy good evening and happy Thursday. I'm excited to be on here tonight and speaking with an amazing woman who will be joining me soon. Hello, welcome. Good evening. Hi, Coach Lee. Hi, Aisha. How are you? All right, Coach Lee, I am going to be inviting you to join me. Uh, Well, good evening and happy new week. Hello, everyone. Hi,
There we go.
how are you?
I am good. How are you?
Weird. I'm good. I know that you probably had a super long day. So,
It's been a long 2 weeks, but I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with me tonight. I'm excited. I'm excited about our conversation. So, let's just start with welcoming everybody. For anyone who's going to be watching this now or watching this after, happy Thursday evening. I'm excited to be on here. This week is the Global Entrepreneurship Week, and this happens once, I mean, typically the month of November every year. And also, typically, we would have an on-site event and bring entrepreneurs within our community together and network and just build that community. Make sure that people who have questions around starting a business, getting a business, or about mindsets, get the help or the direction or the network that they need. But this year we are leaning into our community, fully leaning into our community, and we're bringing, showcasing people like Coach Lee. Yesterday we had Sydney, talking about virtual assistants and what it means to be a VA, and today's Coach Lee, all about productivity and goal setting. And I'm happy to have you on here because I think this is super important. You know why? I was just laughing because we're coming towards the end of the year and going to another year. Like, what are the best time do we talk about goal setting and productivity, if
Exactly.
not this period, right? So, well, my name is Stella Ian. Also, for those who don't know me, and I'm the founder of Women Don't Need Afraid. And our mission is as simple as our name, literally helping women overcome their fear, and so that they can live their best life. They can take ownership of their business, of their career, and their lives. And we do so by providing content such as this, providing content on our social media, providing groups to help other women really go through and take ownership of their lives. So that's me. And Coach Lee, I have your bio, but like I told Sydney yesterday, I'm not going to read your bio because I feel like you probably would do better justice. And if you're humble, I'm going to make sure that I read out everything that's in your bio. So I want you to introduce yourself if you don't mind.
I am Coach Lee. I'm a criminal defense attorney by day, but productivity coach, productivity and accountability coach, like I say, like I like to say throughout. I'm all about helping people, primarily women, unleash what I call like that inner superhero, inner superpowers within themselves. Because a lot of us are busypreneurs. And what's a busypreneur is somebody who's busy trying to do all the things. So I'm all
Mm,
about kind of helping you to unleash that inner superpower that's inside of you so that you can start putting yourself and your goals first, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And so often as people, and especially women, we play so
right,
many roles to other people in life that we often neglect ourselves and put ourselves last and put ourselves on that
right,
back burner. So we help others pursue our goals. But I want you to start pursuing your goal, because once you see that by pursuing
right.
your own goals, you're no longer
Mm,
pouring from an empty cup, and you really do have so much more to give to other people. So
right.
that's me in a nutshell. And criminal defense attorney by day is why it's kind of been a long week or 2 weeks. But we are
Yes.
here and we're doing all the
We're
things.
we're here, right? We work the 9 to 5 and continue the 5 to 9, right? That's exactly what we're doing. So if you see me looking this way, I have my notes here, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss any of the key nuggets you're gonna drop today. So I'm taking notes. Like literally, this is a class, people. If you're not taking notes, please take notes, right? And if you have any question around goal setting, productivity for Coach Lee, please put in the chat. If you have any question about what we do, who we are, put in the chat. We'll be very super happy to answer those questions. All right. So let's go back to busypreneur. We're doing so many things. Do you believe that we should focus on one thing, or are you someone who believe, or do you believe, well, we can do multiple things and do it well? Where do you
You
stand?
can do multiple things and do it well. You might can't do them all at the same time, but you can do multiple things and do it well if you plan and strategize and kind of have that game plan of how you're going to do it. I finished the
Right.
trial today. I got home like 10 minutes ago and I'm
And
here.
you And you don't look like you just went through a whole day or a hard couple of weeks. So thank you for again for joining me, right? Um, and this is super important because I mean, for me, like, of course, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I've got a 9 to 5, I've got a business, I have this community, I've got a book, like, and not just me. I'm sure there are other women on here as well who have so many passions and they want to try it. And there's this thing about passion versus trying to figure out, well, what pays the bill. And we have this or the conflict, right? That what should I prioritize, like where should I channel my energy at, right? What would you say about that? Like, how would you help someone, for example, who has so much going on and they're trying to figure out, like, okay, I'm channel my energy on this. How do you make that choice?
I think you start first with what brings you like the passion, what brings you the drive. Like, yes, we got to pay the bills. We want to have the lights on. We want to have a place to lay our head ultimately. Yes. So no, don't just go quit your job unless, hey, if you feel pulled to do that, do that. But it's all about kind of finding those pockets of time because we spend so much time scrolling social media, watching TV, Netflix, talking on the phone with our friends, taking naps that we don't necessarily need to then be up all night. So that's why I say, like, I'm all about helping you find that hidden time in your day because you can do other things. You do deserve to show up in the other ways. And so if you start finding these little pockets of time, 10 minutes here, an hour here, to dive into your purpose or dive into your passion and diving into that, and you'll slowly start to see how that can fizzle and kind of become larger into the grand scheme of your day and your life and what it is you're looking to do. So I say start small. Like, can you do other things? Yes. But don't try to make it, I'm giving 100% to these two things at the same time.
Right. You're so spot on. So two things I wanted to call out about. Okay, first of all, it was about the timing, right? About figuring out what the pockets of time is in our day. I remember someone gave me an assignment about, well, have a list of what do you do per time per day, because I'm always like, well, I don't really have the time. Well, what do you do per time per day? And I think as an assignment I want to give anyone who's probably listening to this or watching this after is, if you're in a place where you feel I don't have time to do anything else, I'm giving the assignment to literally write out what you do with your day, and you'll be super surprised that you have so much time. Because the things that we consider important probably might not be important. Like you said, the scrolling through the phone and the Instagram, or the calling, or just the idling. Like, of course, we need those downtime during our super busy day. Of course, we're not saying work. But what we're also saying, though, is where is your time going to? And I think that's what you're sort of talking about, right? Where's your time going to, right?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. All right. So another question will be around like goal setting. Oh, my kids are coming. So another question will be around productivity, right? So what is your definition of productivity? How would you define productivity?
To me, I look at productivity is the way in which you use your time. How are you using your time, and what are you using your time to do? Because for me, a lot of productivity for me is, how can I do more than one thing at the same time? So yes, multitasking can be bad, but if you're like you want to relax and you want to watch TV, can you use the commercial breaks if you're not fast forward, like if you're not DVRing and you got these 5-minute commercial breaks every 10 minutes, make your to-do list for the day during that commercial. So you still accomplish the task while you still got that relaxation in. So for me, productivity is about getting things done and still enjoying life. Because it's not about, like, I don't subscribe to the hustle and grind mentality. I'm not a person who's like, go, 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 and never stop. You might look at my life and think that, but y'all also know, like, people who follow me know that your girl goes to bed 8:30, 9 o'clock. It's like, I get my sleep. So for me, productivity is getting the things done that need to be done and finding the time to do it.
And so you're talking about maximizing the downtime that we have during the day, like you say, having that to-do list, right? Let's talk about to-do list, because when we say, okay, we are busy, and we do that whole track of our day, and realize, well, half of the things that we did in our day, we didn't even plan for. It just came out of nowhere, right? And so to-do lists, like, what are the strategies that you put in place, or you would advise someone, for example, who is trying to get the maximum amount of value for their day? So I'm guessing number one would be, of course, have a to-do list so that you know what you're supposed to do for that day and you can measure your progress, right? Are there other strategies that you would say if you want to get the maximum value of time or maximum value for your time, these are the things that you should do. What would you say?
For me, it's I start the week. Well, really, I kind of end the week because I do it like on Saturday. Because to me, the week starts on Sunday, so I need to be ready on Sunday. Start with the brain dump, like all the things that are in your head that you want to do, need to do, have to do, because like you talked about, like everything isn't really a priority. So there are things that you want to do. There are things you need to do. There are things you have to do. So write down all of those things. And then once you have them all written out, number one, use some kind of planner, something to organize your life. Like we have these things to do, like kids' school, your regular day job, hanging out with your friends. We're in the holiday season. We got Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, holiday party, this, all of these things, especially like during this time of the year. So it's about understanding what you need, want, and have to do, and then using that to kind of plan out your day and plan out your week. Because once you know what the non-negotiables are, like, okay, if you work a 9 to 5, 8 to 5, you know those work hours. You know you got to be there. So then, and you know your commute time there and back. So how much more time do you have in the day to do these things? So you say you want to do 20 things, but you got 3 hours to get them done, and half of them take 2 hours apiece. The math ain't math. So doing that brain dump, because once you do that brain dump, I then take that and kind of divide, like, okay, if my brain dump every week is going to be different, but my brain dump, let's just say we got 20 tasks on it. So I'm looking at those tasks, and then I know, prime example, this week, I've been in trial. So as I was planning out the things that I wanted to do, I knew that typically I use my lunch breaks to do some things, make calls or whatever the case may be. I knew that while being in trial, I'm not going to have that extra time. So I was strategic about the things that I put on my to-do list for each day based off of the capacity that I had within that day.
Well, let me tell you, you're setting us straight. You absolutely are setting us straight, because I've seen this play out so many times where we want to do everything all at once. And then at the end of the week or at the end of the day, we feel like we failed, or we feel like we haven't accomplished as much as we want to, or as much as the next person. The question is, were you truly realistic with the time and the goals you set for yourself? Just like what you said, like you gave a perfect example. You had to do trial and you had no break time. And so you had to be intentional about what you put for your day, right? So I think self-honesty is super important, because you can't do everything. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about this, because accountability, right? Because I know that's something that you're also super important, you're super like an advocate for. Do you think that we can be accountable to ourselves? Do you think we have all right, tell me more about that, because I have a question that follows up after that.
I think everybody has the ability to do it, because we can do anything we put our mind to. Do you believe that you can be accountable to yourself? Now, it might start out to where you've tried to do it yourself and you tried to do it alone and you haven't, because you might need that added layer of accountability to get you to a point. Like my goal with clients working with me is not that they work with me for the rest of their lives. I want them to become self-sufficient. If they come back, I want it to be, hey, I got a new project and I'm not sure how to tackle this or add this into my life. So can we do like a one-off session to kind of, how do I kickstart this into this? Like my goal is for you to be able to be self-accountable. Like I can tell myself when I know that I'm not being productive and when I'm wasting time. Like I can do that. I can be honest with myself and say, like, you had time to do this. You chose not to. Why? And sometimes you do need that mental break, and it's okay. So I do believe that each of us has the ability to be self-accountable and have that accountability to self. It just, you might not have it at this moment. Can you learn it? Can you be trained to have it? Can you get the tools to kind of figure out, like, how do I hold myself accountable? Most definitely. But most people need a coach, or they struggle with, think about anything that you typically invest in. Right. You probably had the ability to go on YouTube, go to college, go anywhere else and learn that thing, but you wanted to take the shortcut, which, hey, and the shortcut is like, let me get a coach to get there to figure out how to do it, and now I'm ready to do it myself.
And I mean, even I hear you when you even say the coach is a shortcut. Some people still go online on YouTube and spend so much time, but they can't hold themselves accountable to seeing themselves through the results. And then they still need that extra layer of accountability where the coach comes in, right, to really hold them accountable. But like you say, I think a coach's goal shouldn't be that there's client are dependent on them forever. I think a coach's goal should be, my client has that fortitude to continue after they've gone through my class, they've gone through my courses, my one-on-ones. I think that's super important. As well. I want to know more about your business because I hear you talk about your business now. So tell me, why did you get into this space, into this field? I know you're a lawyer by day and bringing up the superpower of
I had no intention of ever being a coach. Like, I became a coach because everybody told me I should. And initially when it started a few years back, I was like, who got time for that? Like, I'm a lawyer. You heard how I said I didn't have time for that? Yeah. COVID, global pandemic, world shutting down, all of that. Time. I was working from home, and so pretty much my job, I'm a lawyer. Courthouses are shut down. Specifically, I'm a criminal lawyer. We're not doing criminal trials in the middle of a pandemic. So thankfully, I still had a job, but we were working from home. And so because there's only so much work you can do, my job was like, well, you don't need to be logged on 8 to 5. Like, as long as your work is done, if it takes you 2 hours to do your work, if it takes you 8 hours, it's a pandemic. We're not going anywhere. And so because of the productivity aspect that I have, like, I can get 8 hours of work done in 3 to 4 hours, especially when you're home with no distractions.
True.
So I had all this time on my hands, and then all the thoughts of people telling me you should be a coach started coming back to me. And because I had nothing but time on my hands, I'm Googling, looking it up, finding course and training certification, trying to figure out which one I want to do. Took one, finished it, and was like, yeah. I made it like halfway through the first video, and I'm like, oh, this is why people say that I should be a coach. And then kind of once I finished, got the certification or whatever, I'm still doing some extra ones because to me, I never stop learning. I'm always looking to learn more and find new tips and tricks and tools. But after getting the initial one, and you're like, okay, now you're a life coach. And I'm like, I don't want to be a life coach. It's what do people struggle with? And then I'm kind of thinking about it. They're always like, how do you do it all? And I'm like, I don't do it all. They're like, yes, you do it. I'm like, no, then I realized that productivity and planning and strategizing was something that people struggle with. And so that's how I made productivity and accountability my niche, because of that whole accountability thing. You have the ability to be self-accountable, but you have to learn it first. So I'm going to teach you how to be productive, get your life together while holding you accountable and doing it.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. And I guess kudos to having more time in your hands for you to get into this space, because probably you would not have had the time to do this, right? And so through working with your clients, what would you say is one of the recurring themes that you're finding out, right? By working with people who are probably struggling with their goals or accountability or productivity, what's something that's always I see this pattern always repeating itself?
I don't have time, but kind of I don't often have them do the whole write down what you do in a day, but it's most of them I know them, or I follow them on social media, or we're on Instagram, so you're like, I was watching your story, you just sat over there for 3 hours and just ate a bowl of ice cream. What do you mean you don't have time? So it's the common theme is that I don't have time, and then it's do you not have time, or do you not want to do it? And then the combination of I don't have time and I'm just so overwhelmed, so I don't know where to start, would be the two common themes.
Okay. So let's talk about I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how to start, right? There's something I usually call it the minimum viable step, where just start with the smallest bit of whatever it is you're trying to do, just the tiniest. If you want to write a book, start with writing something on your dock on your computer. If you want to work out, just start with walking around your house, right? And all of that. But for you, if someone comes and says, I'm so super overwhelmed and I don't know what to do and I don't know how to start, how would you work that person through just overcoming overwhelm?
Get it out of your head and onto paper. Most times people are overwhelmed because you're trying to keep everything in your head. Right. So you're trying to wash the dishes, but then you think about the fact that you forgot to take out the trash, and then you forgot about the fact that you didn't renew your tag, and you forgot about the fact that you're supposed to call somebody back.
And then you just stop washing the plates and you just sit down. And you're like, where's that bowl of ice cream? I'm done.
Exactly. So my first step is write it down. That's why I'm such an advocate for brain dumping, because if we take the time to clear our head out, then you get it out of your head, so you free up the space to actually start taking action, because overwhelm is typically caused by I have so much to do, I don't know where to start, because all these thoughts are racing everywhere. But if you make a list, and I can look at the list and I can choose an item. I can just pick one.
Sure.
Do you think of this like project management for your life? Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like you can have this master list. You can have, I have work-life balance, so I don't bring the rare occasions. I don't bring work home unless I'm working from home. Like, we get a day to work from home for the week. Like, work stays at work. Business does go to work because I use my lunch breaks to like do business stuff sometimes. But so I have literally a to-do list at work that I leave at work. I do a brain dump every Friday for work for the next week. Yeah. I have my planner in front of me here for home. So yeah, I look at it as project management of your life. Yes.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny because like the project managers who work in like companies and all of that, they have this ability to, of course, manage global projects and work with different kinds of people and get them to do things that they don't want to do. But then when it comes to internalizing it for themselves, like for yourself, then there's that struggle. But it's the same skill, right? It's the same, of course, like you just said, prioritize them. It's the same you having to be accountable to yourself to get things done. And I've seen sometimes that people have goals, but the reason why they fall off of getting that goal executed is because they're not so passionate about that goal. And when you ask them questions as to why do you want to get this done, sometimes they end up saying maybe because they've seen it somewhere else, or somebody else is doing it, or someone else probably told them, right? And then they've made someone else's goal their goal. And if the why is not strong enough, of course the goal is going to fall apart. So I think that's one of the reasons why sometimes people start with goals, but they don't stay through because it was never theirs in the first place. And I'm glad you just showed your planner now, right? Another thing that I'm also realizing, of course, working with women is most women have this structure they put in place. So maybe they have a planner, they have their to-do list, or they have this do not disturb on their phone, or they put these boundaries in place. But somehow they break their own boundaries. They like you have I'm not going to look at social media, but then you end up going to social media, or I'm not going to go to that part of the grocery store, but you end up going, like, you've set these boundaries yourself, but you break it down yourself. Is that something that you've seen working with women, and like, how would you address that?
Yes, and yes, because we get so used to doing everything for everyone else that we don't really have the boundary. So it's about being firm on your boundaries. And so it's about setting and like establishing the boundaries. And once you become firm in it, for example, my bedtime. Love my daddy to death. The man loves to call at 9 o'clock and then be like, "Oh, you sleep? Dad, you know I go to bed at 8:30. Like, yes. So now he'll call me early in the morning. He's like, "I went to call you last night, but I knew you were in bed." Or like my phone setting, it literally turns to like silent. It doesn't go like do not disturb. So like if I have my watch on, I can see that somebody's calling, like in case I need to answer. But like, so my phone goes to silent. Like, my coworkers know, don't text Alicia or call Alicia about work after work hours. So yes, we bend the boundaries because you don't feel that a lot of times it's worthy. It's like you don't feel that you are worthy of it, or you think that if you say no or put this boundary in place, someone's going to look at you differently. But the opposite actually happens. If you have that boundary, people will respect it, but you have to respect your own boundary first.
Absolutely. You're spot on. Like that is it. And I think another thing is the fear of missing out. Is, well, what if that call is important? Or what if something is happening and I don't pick up the call, right? But really, like you said, you pick up that call. When you don't respect your boundary, nobody's going to respect your boundary for you. It's how you put respect to your boundaries, right? And how you put that structure in place. Because I think also respecting those boundaries mean that you respect yourself. I think upholding that structure means you actually respect the value of your time. And the more we keep knocking down our structures and our boundaries, what we're telling ourselves subconsciously is, well, I'm not self-disciplined. And then we see that manifest in different aspects of our life as well. Because if we cannot uphold our boundary, if we cannot say, okay, I'm going to spend the next 1 hour doing this, but in the next 10 minutes, we're doing something else. We're telling ourselves like we don't respect the value of our time, our effort, and the boundaries we've set. And I think that's such a very dangerous message to send to ourselves.
And that goes back to that self-accountability you were talking about. Like, can you be self-accountable? Yes. But are you willing to put that boundary in place to hold yourself accountable? Set a timer, put your phone across the room. If you say you want to do this thing for an hour or not do this thing for an hour,
yeah,
do it. or don't do, you know, depending on what the thing is, but you know what I mean? Like, do that thing that you want to do for an hour, or if you're saying, I don't want to do this thing for the next hour, don't do that thing.
And
we tell kids all the time to do this and not do this, and we want them to listen, but you won't even listen to yourself. So why should a kid listen to you? And you wonder why your kids be like, why my kid don't never listen to me? You don't listen to you.
You're spot on. You're spot on. And the benefits of the boundaries also important. So let's talk about accountability. What are the things that we should look out for when we're trying to identify or find an accountability partner? Because I know that not all friends, not all family members should be your accountability partner. I mean, they might mean well. They might be like, well, you've been working so hard. Why don't you come out and let's chat? And then from 10 minutes chatting becomes 3 hours, right? So what are the things you should look out for when you're trying to figure out, well, who can I bring in as my accountability partner or accountability stepper?
Like similar goals, not necessarily fully the same goal, but similar goals, like similar mindset.
Okay.
If you can find someone with a similar why as you, and especially if it's somebody who's walking the same journey for you. For example, like if it's at work, hey, we both want to go for this management position. We both want to do this, whatever the thing is. And you're like, hey, okay, we're literally walking the same journey. We're planning on going to the same place. If you're looking for a person to go work out with, okay, we both got a trip planned for spring break. So we both have a similar goal because we both go to the same place, but we both got this point to get there. So finding someone with like similar mindset and similar goals is going to be the two biggest things. And then kind of from there, once you kind of have those two big components, then you can kind of form with each other, like, what do we want this to look like? How do you want me to hold you accountable? Because it's possible that you have accountability partners that, like, we don't have to be working on the same goal, but we have this similar mindset that you might be working on the goal of like, hey, I just want to start eating healthy. And my goal might be, I want to read personal development. But because we have a similar mindset, we can have that daily check-in on like, hey, how'd you do it? How'd you do with your nutrition? I did pretty good. How'd you do with your reading? Hey, I got my 10 pages in. But we can have two different goals, but because we have, and I guess the third thing would be like respect. Like, do you respect them enough to challenge you, to call you out, and to be called out by them to where it feels like ooh, wait, okay, I didn't do what I said I want to do. Like, I respect them and I will listen to them. And so therefore, if I tell you to call me out when I'm doing or not doing something, I expect you to call me out when I'm doing and not doing something. And therefore, when you do it, I'm going to listen.
Yeah. And then there's that flip side as well, where what I better do this because this person is going to call me out. So or I have to check in the next 30 minutes. Have I read a part of my book? I better do because, you know, it's both ways as well. I remember when we have like, there's an accountability group for those who wanted to like be better with their eating. And I know like you talked about having the same why and having the same goals, but even sometimes people with the same why still don't know how to hold themselves accountable. And I think it all comes back to the passion, the why behind it. Because you can have a group of accountability partners and you realize that you're probably the only one who's staying true to your goal. And every other person is not checking in when they're supposed to check in or coming to the calls for, you know, for the check-ins and all of that. And that can be demoralizing, right? And I think I probably was trying to say like, even if you are in such circle, probably keep finding, keep looking and keep asking because you want to make sure that your energy matches their energy. That you're not the only one just being accountable because then it's like, what is the whole point? And we don't want people to drop off, right? So I see we have a couple of questions. I'm going to start with the first one that says, so someone yes, writing down is key. Absolutely. I'm looking to improve my organizational skills and improve my speaking sales skills. So I think these are probably like two goals that Rosa has. Do you want to speak on that before Adam?
So in terms of organization, start. Everyone has different organizational styles, and like I'm not about the one size fits all mentality. So for example, like I said, this is my paper planner here. I'm big on writing things down, but I have a digital to-do list. It starts on paper and then it ends up digitally so that I can have it on my phone when I'm out and about, on my computer when I'm at home. I can pull it up on the computer at work as well if I don't happen to have my phone. Like if I'm by a computer but not by my phone. You have to, in order to get organized, you need to understand your organizational skill. And some of that is going to be through trial and error. You might discover that you are a paper and digital planner. Like I am both. It depends on what I'm doing. I free flow best on paper, like getting it out of my head. I just need to get it out on paper. And then once it's on paper, I can look at it and say, this is how I want to structure and organize it. And then that's where my digital landscape comes in. So if you're looking to improve your organizational skills, kind of start mapping out what is it that you're trying to organize? Like, what is your vision for what you're trying to create? And whether you're a paper person or a digital person, get it out of your head and into whatever that space is. And then in terms of your speaking skills, you got to practice. Like, the only way you're going to get better at doing something, organizing, planning, goal setting, speaking, is doing it. So whether that be deciding, committing to going live once a week, recording a video that you don't necessarily post, but practicing speaking out loud, whether that be reading your book out loud, like practice speaking. Like, if you want to get better at speaking, you got to practice speaking.
Absolutely. I mean, you're spot on, right? If I was going to add anything maybe to the organizational skills, I'll probably say, just like what you said, like for me, I'm a phone person. My notes. Like I'm so scared to go through my notes now because it's going into thousands. I have so many things on my notes, but it's better for me. That's how I free flow. Writing on paper sometimes it's good, but I prefer my phone because I can take it anywhere. And I usually put my notes also on Google Drive because regardless of where I'm located at, I can always log into the cloud and literally look at my notes, right? And I also think maybe for the person who asks a question, Rose, there will be a question around what part of your life are you probably trying to organize? Is it in your career? Is it your personal life? Is it something else, right? But always checking, like at the end of the day or at the end of the week, how did I do with my organizational skills, right? Like you said, so for you, for example, Coach Lee talked about having a plan for the week. Some people might be day by day. It's like, okay, so what is this day going to look like? For me, I love to visualize my day. Like, so what am I trying to achieve? Like, what are my big rocks? Like, what am I trying to achieve this day? What are the small wins, things like that. And at the end of the day, it's like, how did I do? Why didn't I do it? So the next day we start again. Because I think if we try to organize like the whole month, that's too much to do. Just literally taking it one step at a time. And like you said, speaking skills, like, I mean, if you don't practice, we won't get better at it. And the good thing about, I guess, life now is there's so many ways for you to practice your speaking skills, right? You can, like you said, jump on the live with your friend, online, like we have all these events you can be a part of and volunteer to speak or something, right? At work, so practice. And yes, we see that you can have several accountability partners. Absolutely. So, Coach Lee, do you have accountability partners?
Yes, I got my biz bestie. We talk like every other Sunday, we get on a call and we talk and kind of like plan out our weeks or kind of check in on the things that we plan for. And then we might text or talk throughout the week. I have another friend that we do like a weekly call, and like I send her my to-do list. I also post my to-do list like publicly, like on my social media every Sunday. I make a to-do list for the week. And I choose like 10 kind of focal areas in terms of like my Coach Lee, like, so kind of like my business focus for the week. And so I post that like every Sunday on my stories. And I also send it to my friend and she sends me her list for the week. And then typically either Wednesday or Thursday, we talk through the week and kind of like, hey, how are you doing on your to-do list? How are you doing on your goals? And typically Friday, we'll text and kind of check in. So like we send the list on Sunday, we talk like Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we text like, okay, so since Wednesday, you said you wanted to focus on this one thing. So I would say I have two major accountability partners in terms of like kind of like one business and one kind of business life. And then I have like workout groups that I'm a part of in terms of fitness. And then, so yeah, I do have several accountability partners depending on the area.
And I love the fact that you say you also post it on your social media as well. I mean, what other way to stay accountable than to tell the whole world like what you're doing?
And I sometimes forget. Sometimes it's not intentional. Like typically on Saturday, I try to remember Saturday night before I go to bed to post the completed one. So you can see the things that I checked off or the things that I left blank and didn't complete during the week.
Right there. Okay. Well, for anyone who's just joining us, we have Coach Lee, and she's an accountability and productivity coach. We're talking about goals, productivity, accountability, and all of that great stuff. And we're doing this in the week of Global Entrepreneurship Week. So if you have any questions regarding that, please put it in the chat so that she can share with you our expertise. All right, I have a couple of questions, right? So the first one is the scattered brain. Someone who's like their brain to just keep popping, like popping. They have multiple ideas. And I know that people go through this. They really want to focus, but they just cannot focus. Like they're ready to do one thing and they think about a million tabs they have open on their computer. What are the strategies or steps that you help with this person who's going through scattered brain?
They might need to do a brain dump every day to start with, because they have so many ideas. Like, for the most part, because I do that brain dump every week, yes, I'm not saying that things don't pop up. Additionally, like earlier today, I was like, oh, I need to, like, I got my nails done last week, and then I chipped my nail today. And I'm like, I need to call them and tell them I need to come get this fixed. Like, let me write this down. Hold on, because I need to go. I just got this done less a week ago. We need to go get that fixed. So yes, things are going to pop up as you go through life and throughout the day that you need to write down. But if you feel that you have so many ideas in your head, do a brain dump every day. Because some of the things are small. And once you write it down, you're like, oh, take out the trash, 2 seconds. Cool. This, make a video, that might take more time. So, like, once you get it out of your head, then you free up more space, honestly, for more creativity. So, like, for example, you're like, I need to make a video, but you don't know what you want to make the video about because you're thinking about the trash, the polish that chipped on your toe. Like, you're thinking about all these other small things that are taking up the capacity for the big thing. So if you feel that you're so scatterbrained and you can't focus on one thing at a time, aside from, like, go check with a doctor, ADHD, all that kind of stuff. But in terms of, like, brain dumping and productivity, like, you probably need to do a brain dump every day. Whether that be in the morning, whether that be in the evening, or if there's a specific time of the day that you feel this feeling, or like after lunch, I really get all these, my thoughts get to racing. Like, that might be the time of the day that you need to do it. Like, for me, I like to do my brain dumps at night because I get up early. I wake up refreshed, and like, being the last thing I did before I go to bed was write down the things I need to do it the next day. When I wake up, that's the first thing on my mind. So, like, I get out of bed knowing that this is a task I'm going to go sit down and work on when I get to my office. So if you feel so scatterbrained and like you always have thoughts running through your head and you can't find the time or get the time or be able to actually truly sit and focus, whatever time of day you find that happening, take that time at that time to get it out of your head. Like, all the thoughts that are coming to you, spend 5-10 minutes, write them out. Free and sometimes it's literally a matter of you think you're done with the ideas, but sometimes, like, when I first started doing brain dumps, I would literally set a timer. Like, you don't get out of this chair until this timer goes off. And you think you're done writing, and then you read through the list again, and you read something completely random. Like, you read the word trash, and that reminds you of the library. Like, you read through your list, and you're like, oh, wait, I just came up with 10 more things I need to do. But now, because I do it so habitually, I don't need the timer. I can just free flow and then pause, check the list, and keep going again. So if you feel that you have so many ideas in your head, literally set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes.
And write it out. I think brain dump is going to be a game changer for a lot of people, because a lot of people internalize and keep things in their mind, and they just really get overwhelmed throughout the whole day. And then you go through your day tensed up and have been anxious and been exhausted and been overwhelmed. And at the end of the day, you kind of like sleep with that same energy. I remember when I read somewhere, someone said that at the end of the day, write out the things that you're grateful for, because that changes your mind from all the things that you didn't get to do to all the things that you probably got to do, and be grateful for those things, right? Because I think it's super important, our mindset when it comes to goal execution. All right, so we're coming towards the end of our live today, and I have another question for you, which is around, well, we're coming towards the end of the year, and another year is coming up again. And we're going to be saying a lot of things about planning and goal setting and vision board. First of all, what is your take on vision boarding?
Vision boarding? I mean, mine's over there. Okay, I think number one, if you're going to do one, put it where you can see it. Like, it's literally like, if I reach over there, it's arm's reach. Okay. I'm not against them, but a lot of times we try to create this pretty picture without a plan to actually go after the pretty picture that we created. All right. So, like, when I made my vision board, I had already made my goals for the year. So I looked at my goals, and then I made the pretty pictures to fit it, to have a visual to look at. Like, it's my screensaver on my computer. So I have the visual to look at. If I want to be a visual person and not read, I can kind of quickly look at it and be like, okay, I want to read some books. I want to do trials. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I had already made my goals before I did the vision board.
Interesting. Not the other way around. So your goals are realistic, and so you can build your vision on top of that. Not having this massive vision, and they're trying to fix. It's almost like trying to push the goals to happen in a year. What if it can happen in a year? That's an interesting one. It's usually the reverse.
Because some things that people put on their vision board, that's your vision for the future, but that doesn't necessarily mean the next 365, 366
Got
days.
it.
Like the women, and I'm not knocking it, the women who put like, you know, the ring, the this, the that, like, I'm not saying it can't happen in a year, because, you know, there are many people who find a person, date, engage, married within a year, but generally speaking, that takes longer than a year. So you put this on your vision board, so when you get to the end of the year, do you feel that you didn't accomplish it? Because you might be in a relationship, but you haven't got to the ring stage yet. So if you make the goal realistic, like, then you're going to create the vision board. So your vision might just be to find love.
That's true.
Not necessarily get to the ring in the white dress. Like, it's steps, it's levels. Like, goals and planning, there's steps to it.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm more of the let me make my goals first and then vision board.
Build your vision board on top of it. What you're saying is important, because sometimes we set up ourselves for failure, not for success. Because and then the sad thing of it all is that we then hold ourselves up to that standard of that vision board. And so when we don't see that materialize, we think we failed. Well, at the beginning, you didn't set up yourself for success. That's why you feel like you're short. And that whole, oh my gosh, the world is moving ahead and I'm behind. Well, the world isn't really moving that ahead. It's just that you set up this massive goal, massive goals, massive visions are super important. It's important to dream big. But like you said, be realistic with your time. Like, what life changes are going to happen to you next year, and what is going on, and what are your goals, and what time buckets do you have before you try to fix or push these big goals inside of it, right? So that's thank you for sharing that. That was really good. All right, so we're coming towards the end of the year and into next year. We're going to be talking about goal setting and trying to, you know, of course, have New Year resolutions and all of that fantastic thing. What would you say that people should actually consider before they start planning for the year? Before you start planning for a new year, and you're trying to write this goals again, or vision statement, or have resolutions, what are the things that maybe you should think about first before you get into that?
What do you want, and why do you want it? So it kind of, not quite the vision board aspect, but like you're kind of visualizing, what do I want and why do I want it? Like, I want $1 million. Why? Because everyone says I should want $1 million, or because I want $1 million because I want to do this for the community, do this for myself, what do you want and why do you want it? Because if you get to what you truly want, then you're doing it for you. And having that second question of why do you want it is going to fact check the what you want. Because once you understand what you want and why you want it, you can start creating these goals and creating this plan and creating these dreams, because it's going to be realistic, because it's what you want as opposed to what somebody else wants for you.
Right.
So thinking about what you want, why you want it, and then I guess if you want to think about like the third one, like where do you want to be? Where do you want to be at this time next year? Like, what will make you feel like a success? Because a lot of times I think if we think of it that way, we get more realistic. Because people say they want to be a millionaire, but you don't have like $100 in the bank. And I'm not saying you can't go from $100 to the bank to $1 million in a year, but it takes time.
Yes.
Okay, if you have $250,000, you probably can be a millionaire by next year because you have a good foundation to get there.
You're spot on.
So understanding what you want and why you want it, and then kind of looking at the big picture of like, where do I want to be at this time next year? Like, what will make me feel successful if I get this?
You're spot on, and then the why would sustain you through the year, especially when you want to give up. Because a lot of people don't talk about the giving up part. It's gonna be hard. Sometimes you want to give up on your goals. That's just life. Like it's never like they say
it's not linear.
When they say when there's a flat line, it means the person is there's no life. But when it's ups and downs, peaks and dips and all of that great stuff, it means you're breathing, and that's life. And the why will keep going to the end till you see your goals, right? So that's good. All right, so tell me more about your business and the things you do, right? How can people connect with you if they want to?
Instagram. Y'all here on Instagram? Send me a DM. I'm all about the one-on-one. Like I've said it a couple of times in here, like I'm not about the one-size-fits-all approach. So I really like working one-on-one with my clients. Like, I don't do group coaching. I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna do it, but I don't believe that I will. I'm like, I might do a mastermind that's like general information, and then like from there we work one-on-one. But I'm all about the one-on-one because I want to get to know you, your struggles. What have you tried in the past and what didn't work? Why didn't it work? Get into the root of all those things that we can do in a one-on-one capacity. So working with me can be like a single session of like, hey, I'm just trying to make a schedule. Like literally, I'm just trying to make a schedule so I can get through my life. Or it can be, 6 to 8 weeks of one-on-one coaching where we're walking through the process of developing that schedule, getting that productivity, having that person to keep you accountable to where hopefully in those 6 to 8 weeks, you're ready to fly free and do it yourself. And you've accomplished this goal. Now, whether you want to circle back and say, hey, I got a new goal that I want to work on now, like I got this one down, I'm ready to add on to it. So working with me is you having my individual one-on-one attention to work through what it is that you're struggling with and what it is that you're looking to do, and me being there to be that little angel devil on your shoulder, like, I'll call you out on it because you ain't do it. But also, I'm gonna encourage you to know that you can in fact do it.
Yes.
You're gonna get the tough love. You're gonna get both aspects.
Balance. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. And if you're just joining us, I would definitely want you to go back and watch this. We're talking about goal setting, productivity, and accountability partners. And we had Coach Lee join us for this week of Global Entrepreneurship Week. It's been super, super insightful. I mean, I think the key highlights, which I will definitely put in the caption later, will be, for those who are very keen on vision board, first of all, set your goals first, and then build your vision board out of those goals, right? And for those who are also keen on having accountability partners, ensure that you have someone who's also in the same energy with you, same wavelength, so that you're not just one having this big idea, and you're just, pushing the whole pin yourself. So you need people who can champion you and be there for you. So it's been fantastic. And I want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and everyone who's watching, and for you, Coach Lee, for spending your evening with me. I know that you said your sleep time is about 8:30, so I think we're good on time.
You're good.
We're good on time. So thank you for sharing your expertise with our community, and I'm looking forward to future collaboration, because I think for us on the platform of Women Doing It Afraid, one of the things that I know that keeps a lot of people stuck is overwhelm. And then when they start their goals is, well, who holds them accountable as they go through that whole battle with fear, right? And so that angel demon, like you said, someone encouraging them, pushing them, and calling them out is a big part of what we do. So I'm looking forward to our working together in the future, in the near future. So just have that in the back of your mind. All right.
It's there. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed this. I hope people learned something, and most importantly, take the knowledge you learned. Just take one thing, go do something with it. Apply it. Don't wait. Apply it. Write it down so you can do it.
Absolutely. Good way to end our life. All right. Well, so next time, I think tomorrow I have another amazing lady joining me tomorrow's live, so that's exciting. And so next time, see you tomorrow, and then don't forget to follow Coach Lee. Send her a DM if you have questions. Get into our coaching program. That's fantastic, and enjoy your evening, everyone. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.